Howdy y'all, today is April 13th, finally not raining, got nice sunshine, beautiful weather, so I'm going to attempt to split this beehive again. We've got a lot of action going on right now, so I might wait just a little bit longer. Looks like they're all just waking up, or we just had a bunch just hatch. This colony likes making it difficult to get that cover off of. They attached all those frames to the top, so I'm going to have to clean that off. But I wanted to show you, we are seeing some queen cells. I dusted everyone with powdered sugar, but inside this one, the focuses, you can kind of see a little gooey substance. That's gonna be the new queen in there. They feed them a little differently. So I'm gonna put all those frames into that new hive, and we'll make a nice and easy split here. Well, y'all, I'm giving up on trying to split this hive. So I was pretty confident this week, go in, split them, but didn't quite work out. There were a lot of queen cells in there. Searched around and I did not see the queen, nor did I see any eggs. So I very carefully put back the frames that I'd taken out with queen cells, put them back in, and I'm just gonna let this colony do their thing. The queen cells did have some nice little larvae in there, so there'll be some queens hatching out here in a little while, and I'm just gonna let the bees do their thing on this one. In other words, my bees already swarmed on me and I didn't catch them. I was in there last week and saw the queen, everything was fine. Just not quite enough eggs to make the split, in my opinion. They were on drone frames and I wanted a little bit more than that. So I figured I'd wait. We had 3 days of rain, but I guess there was some time in there between last week and this week where they took off on me. So that's a bummer, but it looks like they're doing great in there right now. I'm gonna let them requeen themselves, and hopefully here in a couple weeks that hive will be back up and running like normal. Hopefully no more swarming. Then if y'all see any bees hanging out, let me know. This flower bed is looking really nice. A lot of color, looks really good. The other ones kind of died out, so there's not much left going on over there anymore. All the chicks are doing just fine in here. I did find a couple in the corner over here messing around. It's warm enough out that it wasn't a big deal, but I still stuck them back in with everyone else. This rooster over here attacked my mom the other day, so I'm not happy with him. So my mom beat him up a little bit. And then other than that, I haven't done chores just yet. Still kind of early in the day. You can tell the grass really needs cut. My dad did one strip when he was here earlier. Got a bench out there now, so probably just mess around, do little odd and end projects, and then get on chores. Howdy y'all, today is April 14th and we have our first 80-degree day in the books for the year. It feels amazing out. Got a nice little breeze going. My dad was here earlier. Looks like he cut some of the pasture back here, so that's nice. It was needing cut. I like doing it in stages, so that way it leaves still plenty for the bees, so that way you're not chopping up all the dandelions or anything. So it looks nice out here. Today I'm going to go ahead and start turning these coops and start running them back toward the barn. Okay, I've got the net all moved. The coops are a little crazy at the moment. Turns always jumble them up just a little bit. But here in a couple days they'll be all straightened out and heading straight back toward the barn. Make sure all the chicks are tucked in before I leave here. I had the heat lamps unplugged earlier because it was 81 degrees outside and it was really hot in here because the sun was beating in. It had the plastic. They did not need those heat lamps, so unplugged them. They were happily running around just everywhere, so I'll probably move that little guy just to make sure it doesn't get weird. You always got to check around the bales in case one gets a little dumb. I did make another space here, so if they got out, they could find their way back in. They're figuring it out though. and they're pretty good about just walking in on their own anymore now that they're a few days old, so don't worry too much. But you gonna get up? Yep. Okay. So they're good for the night. Howdy y'all, today is April 15th. So these are the arches that my dad was working on. And he did plant some beans and maybe peas over here, I'm not quite sure, but it's gonna give everything a good water today. Another 81-degree day, it feels amazing out. I did unplug the heat lamp for the chicks because it was already hot enough in there without the heat lamps on. I haven't been out here to look at the back part of the garden where I had all these onions planted because it's just been underwater, so I figured everything died. And looks like I have 1 onion, 2, 3, maybe 3 onions there. The bulbs are looking a little better, the larger ones, so it looks like I at least have a few of those left. But yeah, this was underwater for about 3 days. It was a ridiculous storm. So I think my dad had carrots over here. These were underwater too. Looks like his onions, he's got a couple coming up, so we'll see what happens back here. I think it's just too harsh out here for any cold weather or early planting with the wind and the rain. It's just not very nice to do any gardening in. And I'll let Whitetail out. Hopefully he'll be good today. Not gonna attack anybody. You're being good. Good. He was dancing around like he was thinking about it. So this is a rather interesting hive inspection here. I'm gonna see if I can do it one-handed to show you guys what I'm seeing. I've already combed through everything, but some interesting stuff. So first things first, I am seeing some brood, which is nice. Seeing some eggs, some larvae, but I'm also seeing some cells that have 2 eggs in them, which is typically indicative of a laying worker and not a queen. Man, I am bummed about that hive. I wrote a couple local beekeepers, they're about 10 minutes away, to see if anybody has any queens. My other hive, I do have some queen cells, so I actually could move a frame over with a queen cell on it. But part of me just wants to let them do their thing and not mess them up. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'll give it 24 hours to see if I hear from any local beekeepers around the area. Check around with a couple other people still yet. And then if nobody has anything, I'll go ahead and order one. It is very toasty in here. Got some chicks hiding in some shade all along the barn, under the roost bars there. I don't blame them. I did throw in a larger water and put the smaller one over there. And another larger feeder, larger water. Heat lamps are unplugged. It is toasty enough. Out doing a little mowing right now. Now that I know I don't have, you know, a very active colony over there, drones or male bees aren't gonna fly out, grab a nectar or anything. I thought it was kind of weird I wasn't seeing any bees on dandelions, so that would be why. No queen, no workers being laid or anything like that. So anyways, I am gonna cut as much as I can for the next hour. I don't know if we'll get it all done, but a good chunk of it done. This strip back here that was cut the other day has plenty of dandelions popping up, so I still have plenty of good stuff for other pollinators other than mine. But while I was cutting grass, my mom came out and kind of flagged me down. She's upstairs working on transplanting more tomatoes, and she had a chick in her hand. So what happened was, it was the little black chick, the little freebie surprise chick. I guess she found him. I think it was about here. She heard a lot of chirping, really loud, came down, found him here. He's trying to get back. Freaked out. My mom caught him. All was good. And then she came out and flagged me down. But I think what happened is they're getting out of this little crack here because they're all bunched up. You can see them in there. That little black chick is super tiny. So I think that's why that one was able to get out. but I put a rock there for good measure because you can see a little beak right there sticking out. So I think we're good now. This coop was not built with chicks in mind, so there are a couple little gaps that are a little larger that a tiny chick could get out of. So the meat chicks, they're pretty beefy, so they're not getting out, but that little tiny one definitely squeaked right on out. And now back to mowing. I'm mowing down the left side of the path out there that I just let grow, cutting it kind of short. That way have some more interesting stuff come up this year. If it's weeds, it really doesn't matter to me. Just something cool out there. Weeds are good. So I got a good chunk of the pasture mowed, so that's a good feeling. For the next 3 days, it's gonna be straight rain, so I wanted to get that done. Not everything's done, but a good portion, so I'm happy with that. I did hear back from one beekeeper so far, and they do not have queens, so still waiting to hear back from a few more before I make any moves as far as purchasing a queen from somewhere not as local. But we'll see if anyone has anything local first and go from there. Right now it's not really late in the evening yet, but we're getting on evening, so I'm gonna go ahead and do another round of chores as far as at least filling up water for everything, and then we'll call it a day. And this thick section where the chickens were going back and forth all last year was so thick, it was crazy hard to get through. You have to go really slow just to give the mower a chance to catch up. I mean, you can just see all the extra grass hanging out. But once you get to the back of the property, it was kind of just like mowing a yard. Still not a lot of growth yet. But once we get all these chickens going back and forth on it, it'll be popping just as good as everything else. Check out this egg. This thing's a monster. I bet that's a double yoker right there. Howdy y'all, today is April 16th. I thought it was gonna be a washout, but still no rain. It looks like they pushed it all the way back to about 10 or 11 tonight, so that's good. Get some stuff done. I let Whitetail out. He started acting stupid right away and coming after me. So I reached down to try and swipe him up real quick, and my finger went right onto his spur. He doesn't have really long spurs yet, but they're coming in and they are sharp, and it feels like it just went straight through my finger. It hurts. But anyways, the chickens, slowly moving them still on this turn. It's kind of awkward with these back ones, trying to get them up and get everybody back in line here. But whew, that finger, it burns. This little puncture, it's nothing much, but it hurts. So yeah, he'll be going in the freezer when I do the meat birds here in a couple months, so he'll be gone. I don't like putting up with that. Just about got it straightened out. This coop on the left is going right where I want it. I'm gonna try and squeeze a coop in here. This one's slowly turning. I'm gonna squeeze another coop in here. This one's got probably the longest turn swinging on the outside there. Since we're not getting that rain, my dad's here finishing up the mowing while I do chores. I did hear back from another beekeeper that has queens. As of last night, we were planning on meeting up today. I haven't heard from him today, but fingers crossed. I'm gonna check here in a little bit again, and then hopefully I'll be able to grab a queen tonight, get her in the hive, so that way this one will be all right out here. On my way to pick up the queen. Currently stuck in some traffic at the moment. It's not rush hour, so I'm assuming it's a wreck or something. It's about a 30-minute drive, so it's not terrible, but this little slowdown definitely adds to it. But super excited to be getting a queen today. As soon as I pick her up, we'll run back out to the farm and pop her in the hive. And we are back on the farm. So this is a really nice looking queen. She's got good size. The beekeeper I got her from was pretty excited about her. She is an Italian, he said, but she just got good markings. Looks like a good queen. So overall, he was really happy with her. So I'm looking forward to popping her in the hive and hopefully she can help everyone out in there. I left my attack rooster, Whitetail, out to watch the farm while I was gone. He is just everywhere I am, just keeping an eye on things. I don't quite even have her in there all the way yet, but they are super excited. They started running right over to her. It looks like they're being nice, not aggressive or anything. So we'll see. I'm gonna watch them for a little bit and get her pushed down in there a little better. I don't know, y'all, that looked kind of aggressive to me, so I wrote the beekeeper that I got her from just to make sure if that's kind of typical from a hive that doesn't have a queen, if they just flock to her because they're excited, or are they trying to kill her. That is why you leave them in a cage though, so that way they get used to her, that way they don't just kill her. So we'll see what he says on that, but she's safe. They can't get to her because she is in that cage, and there's a little candy plug in there, so I'll just keep an eye on it. I sent the beekeeper a quick little video and he said it looks fine, so we're gonna go with that. From things I've read, when you start getting laying workers with eggs everywhere, even on top of pollen, which is what I'm seeing in there as well, the hives can get kind of hostile towards anything that you throw in there, towards me or towards a new queen. So we're just gonna hope that they treat her right and they do really well. I'm gonna get that ratchet strap back on there before I forget, with the storms rolling in later tonight. It looks like the chances have actually decreased quite a bit. Should be able to finish up the rest of the cutting here. There's not too terribly much left. Do chores one more time and then call it a day. It's a little damp, but it's a chunk of grass. We'll see what the chicks think of it. They're not interested in that heat lamp in the slightest, so they're actually over here playing in the bag that I got open. They're quite enjoying themselves. I'm just now starting to hear a little bit of thunder off in the distance, so the storm's coming. Really glad to have that pasture all cut. It's kind of windy, so grass is blowing all over me. The mower is a mess, so I really need to clean that out and off. But I was looking through some past photos from this time last year, and it is so crazy to see what the farm looked like. The barn, we had just built the workbench. There was no gravel, no shelves, no nothing. There was still construction stuff just laying in mud in there. It's pretty gutted. And then also the chicks, or not chicks, the first batch of chickens came out to pasture. It was the pearl whites just 1 year ago. So it's crazy just looking at those pictures and seeing how far the farm has come. Yep, you can see that front starting to move in. That'll help green things up even more. Nice and windy, just blowing stuff on everything. It's still kind of warm. Just need to clean all that off. Underneath on this mower, what we found out is you have to clean it out every time. Well, you have to prop it up, but basically the grass gets kind of clogged around the sides on the cutter, and I don't want that sitting in there rusting out, so usually just prop it up after every time and then chip it all off. That way it stays dry under there, not just damp and corroding that deck over time. So it's a bit of a chore, but definitely want to keep it nice. Just remembered I haven't even looked at the grow room yet. So the past couple of days, since it's been 80 degrees, we've just been leaving the door open and even the window open. It's closed up now. I turned the heat off, no need for it. So it's not quite like tropical Florida in there at the moment, which is nice because it was way too hot. So I'm gonna go check and see how everything's doing in there. It is 87 degrees in here and 86% humidity. Whew. I don't even have the heat on, so I'm going to definitely open up this door. Oh my gosh, it is hot. So get a little bit of ventilation going in here. But things are growing really great in here. The marigolds have started popping up and looking good. We do have some catnip starting to come up, so that's pretty cool. Man, it's hard to even breathe in here. It is so hot. But things look good. We've still got a ton of stuff. We've got a new shelf in here There's all the tomatoes getting transplanted. We got peppers, tomatoes. Here's the large tomatoes. These are the ones that I transplanted. These will be the final pots before they go out. Some more need transplanted, but yeah, everything's growing really well in here. The humidity instantly dropped once I opened the window and the door and turned the fan on. I think it's down about 55% humidity. So now you can breathe in there. It feels good. It's still about 86 degrees in there, so it's still toasty. It really doesn't feel much different inside to outside. They're roughly the same, but it feels good. So you can tell some of the plants are starting to feel that extreme heat and humidity in there. So I may just go ahead and leave the door or window cracked just to kind of help that out, because that's crazy hot. Even though everything's insulated really well, it's still got pretty toasty in there. Howdy y'all, today is April 17th. I don't know what happened to their 3 days of predicted washouts, but they're not happening. It's beautiful weather, just extremely windy out. So I'm doing chores real quick. That board over here, I'll show you real quick. That board was actually pulling off from the wind. So I put in a couple longer screws. That should help hold that plastic down. Chores are out of the way. The next thing I need to do is get these 2 tubs out and get the tops back on for the brood boxes for the elementary school that's hatching the chicks. So they're going to be hatching in about 2 weeks. So this upcoming weekend, the teacher wants to go ahead and pick them up. So I don't really care for the tops. I have them over here. One of them got broken, and then the other one, I mean, it works, but it's kind of just thin and chintzy. So I have some larger, or at least thicker wood that I'm going to use, which is this big piece here. So I'm going to use that, and that should help beef it up a little bit more so it won't just break. I actually have this piece of scrap wood here that'll work even better than cutting out a little section on a large piece back there. So I'll probably wind up using this instead. It fits perfectly. So I've got this little half moon cut out. I used a jigsaw. That was easiest, fastest. What I'm doing, since this is actually about the same on the wood, I'm just going to make them thicker. So the other one was about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. This is a solid 2 inches. So I'm just going to make that all the way around. And I think that'll beef it up plenty. It was just too thin, and it was cracking too easy on the other one. And I got her done. It really wasn't too hard. Just quick, simple cut out here. I had some scrap wire here. It didn't quite reach, but those boards in there help stiffen it up even more. Instead of the chicken wire like I used on the others, I think the hardware cloth helps to strengthen that a little better too. So let's hope that stays good. I sanded everything down so nobody gets any splinters. I don't have any spray paint, so I'll have to run out and get some black spray paint. But other than that, this project is done. I'm not going to bother remaking the whole of all these just because it's a little thin. I just kept it thin so it stayed the exact width of the tub here, but I don't think that matters so much. So anyways, I'm going to use these until they break or I think of something better, but for now, these work just fine. Howdy y'all, today is April 18th. I finally got all the coops just about turned. I think I'm just going to keep them in a straight line. Not going to bother with the spacing in between. I'm not going to worry about the diagonal thing. It's just easier that way. And plus they're going to be on such a long stretch anyways, it's not going to make a big difference for when I turn them around anyway. So it takes about 3 days to get them completely turned, but that's completely fine. I am extremely nervous about this hive out here on the farm, you guys. So I pulled the queen cage out because I was just getting so nervous. I was gonna just take her out, but they'd already chewed through. So you can see they got through that candy and they got her out. There's a couple small hive beetles in there hiding. I'm gonna crush them. But these 3 little attendant bees with her are dead. Whether the bees killed them or they just died, I don't know. But these little guys are starting to poke out, so I'm gonna get them real quick.
So the reason I'm so nervous about this hive is requeening a hive that has laying workers is tough to do. Ideally, I would have open brood to pop into that hive because the colony, it's weird, but they think they have a queen because they have laying workers. It's a whole pheromone thing. So when you try to introduce a new queen, they see that as a threat. So that's why I am kind of worried about this hive. They could have killed her. Fingers crossed they didn't. But it is a possibility. So anyways, I didn't have any open brood to put in there because my other hive swarmed. And all I have is cat brood. The open worker brood actually puts off a better scent and it suppresses the laying workers' ovaries. So that way they kind of stop laying, that pheromone just kind of dies out and the colony would accept the queen easier. But all around didn't have great scenarios to do any of this. So right now my best bet is just to hope that that queen that I introduced the other day is alive. But I don't know. I have my doubts at the moment. Howdy, y'all. Today is April 19th. The teachers are wanting to pick up the brood boxes today, so I'm running to Tractor Supply to grab some spray paint and then just 2 more small little plastic water feeder things. Not like the full size, but the chick size. And then that project should be done, so I'll drop that off after school today, help them get it set up since it's their first time. But we'll head to Tractor Supply and get that done first, and then knock out farm chores. So I wound up buying a little peach tree while I was there. I'm excited to get that planted. So all the trees that I planted, the deer got a hold of this fall and scratched all the bark off them. It looks like one of my redwoods came out of it just fine by some miracle because they were shredded. My tulip tree has like 1 bud. It'll be a miracle if that pulls out of it. And then my other redwood is dead as a doornail. So that's really unfortunate. That's my bad for forgetting to wrap them and just protect them from that season that the deer get into. So we're gonna try again and we'll plant a little peach tree back there. I couldn't find any of the really tiny, small little plastic feeder water jars. So I went ahead and just got a super large water and then a new feed bucket because I have one that's cracking. And the chickens just go through so much water in the summer that why not go ahead and get a big one. So I'll swap these out and grab some other ones that are already in use for the chick project. So finishing touches for the brood boxes, I picked up some spray paint at Tractor Supply. Just gonna spray paint top and bottom of this really quick, let that get drying while I start washing out everything else. Got the new little peach tree planted and just gave it a full 5-gallon bucket full of water. So this is right at the entrance here, the path's here. We'll see what it does. But my redwood on the left looks great. The one on the right's the one that died. So I don't know, I'll probably just cut it down once I get a chance, but there's no rush. So I'm all packed up for the chick project. I'm meeting the teachers at about 4:15, so I've got to get going. I'm really glad I at least got that little peach tree planted. I need to start getting my Brussels sprouts in the ground. They've been needing to go in the ground for a while just because they are a cold weather crop, but the wind out here, I just have a feeling it's going to tear them up. That's why I haven't planted them yet, but it's to the point it's either they're going to live or die. So probably tomorrow. We had a storm blow through last night, so it's a little damp out here yet. So tomorrow it'll be a little drier and I'll get those in the ground. Fingers crossed we don't have any crazy wind, but we're past our last average frost date, so they should be okay. Once again, cold weather crop, shouldn't be an issue. All right, I'm a little early to the school, about 5-10 minutes, so gonna sit here and wait a little longer. Note to self, do not put 100 pounds of food in the front seat if you have one of those seatbelt alarms. I had to sit there and listen to that the whole time. But anyways, I'm super excited to get this all set up for them, and hopefully they have a good hatch rate and they have a ton of fun. We are all set up and ready to go. So setup was pretty simple. The teachers asked if I could come in and talk to the kids at some point probably around hatch day or a little bit after. So that'll be fun to do, talk to the kids. It sounds like they have a ton of questions, which I'm excited to answer.